recruitment. They've got, there were 5 schools for the recognition awards. Those schools were Inverness Primary School, Citrus High School, Inverness Middle School, Forest Ridge Elementary, and Crystal River High School. Those were the 5 schools that received the staff that was there last year, and this year will be receiving the retention award.
How many administrators qualified?
That's not for administrators. No, well, you talking about principal awards?
Mm-hmm.
That would be 2. Crystal River High School and Inverness Primary School principals qualify for the principal awards. That would be, so once those, once the scholarship, that's got to the recruitment one,
Right.
gets figured out, and then we move it towards the other one, the goal they like to get those things out,
So it's retention first, then recruitment.
recruitment. The recruitment one's gonna be, well, the recruitment one's going out, they already sent out something, it's going, Susie's told me today, once the October 31st paycheck, they already told the people that would get that, they're gonna go through, the other ones are gonna go out, I think she said, the November checks, November 20,
So they're already cutting checks.
no, they already, those are the dates they will be cutting them.
Okay.
Those are the dates that those people will be getting paid for those amounts.
Okay.
Okay, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Just give me a second to pull up the calendar, I can tell you. That would be the 27th. That's the last paycheck in November. Okay. And then the recognition is the one that we need to talk about.
Correct, and knowing that we were, it was our intent to try to ensure that the payouts all came as close together as humanly possible, preference being all of them at once so that it's all done and over. But we prioritize this as our primary concern for today, and then can have some conversation about the economic and salary improvements. But seeing as how we just recently received some information we've been waiting for, we're not prepared to bring a more formalized proposal for that. So we'll start with the best and brightest.
Okay.
Okay?
Are you ready? That's the last check.
Oh, is there an actual here?
Oh,
There,
yeah,
there,
there-
there, there, I love you.
I didn't take it down.
Okay, so, trying to make sense of the hot mess that was given to us by the state, in the form of the best and brightest bonuses. We know that retention has to be paid first, and then, if need be, the recruitment can be, prorated or reduced if the funds won't allow. So the last thing, providing there are funds left over, is recognition. And at this point, you've already calculated that there are dollars going to be left over. So there will be recognition money?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So our proposal, our idea, our concept is pretty simple. We don't want to convolute it any more than the state already has created a convoluted scenario, and so we are suggesting that instructional personnel may be eligible for bonuses in multiple categories. We don't want to restrict. Somebody may qualify for any of the 3. The evaluation rating, any instructional personnel who received an effective or highly effective overall rating on their most recent, and we're stipulating 2018, 2019 summative evaluation specifically because there were bonuses paid last year for evaluations in the prior year. We just wanted to make sure that that language, which speaks to the most recent summative evaluation for somebody who's been out for 3 years or 4 years, it may not apply.
Okay.
Their most recent should be a 2018-19 summative evaluation. Bonus amount would be determined based on the total categorical dollars remaining after distribution of retention and recruitment, as defined in statute, and shall be distributed in equal shares to all qualifying instructional personnel. This is a good time to mention that the best and brightest language in statute speaks specifically in the recognition category to instructional personnel, which is verbiage which can also be found in statute as pertaining to and including our non-classroom teachers, school counselors, basically anyone in the instructional bargaining unit, even if they're not student-facing classroom teachers, provided they have an effective or highly effective rating. And statute also includes paraprofessionals, instructional assistants, and classroom aides in the category of instructional personnel. And as they are evaluated in this county on a system which includes highly effective and effective ratings, we believe they fully meet the definition of statute for eligibility for the recognition dollars, and we are including them in it. And our hope would be that timeline for distribution would be at the same time that the other bonus funds are released.
Okay. So, you know, we also have a proposal with this. I would like to point out one thing. As you pointed out in the statute, it does include, when it talks about instructional personnel, it does include educational paraprofessionals as well. In the statute, it mentions that the educational paraprofessionals who qualify for that work under the supervision of a teacher. So whenever I hand out our proposal in a second, it's going to be reflective of the fact that there are supervisory roles that teachers have to handle. There's other duties that teachers are engaged in beyond that, and the proposal will speak to that as far as how it is proportioned. Pass those out for me. Now, the amount that is available has not been determined yet, because as Val said, we have to go through and take out the other amounts first. The recognition, we have to take out the recruitment, the principal awards. As I said, there are two that qualify for that. And then the other monies, the ones that are left over, but the other amount that's available is available for best and brightest recognition. So as our proposal breaks it down as such, all highly qualified teachers, meaning anyone who holds that teaching certificate, anyone, if they're a TOSA, or a social worker, a school counselor, any of those people would be considered as teachers, would receive 100%. All effective teachers in category receive 75%, and that is mirroring that we have for our performance pay formula in the contract. Our highly effective paraprofessionals would receive 43% of what the highly effective teachers receive. We came up with that. The average paraprofessional salary is 43% of the average teacher salary. So that's where that number came from, that 43%. And effective paraprofessionals would receive 32%. That would be because the same 43% of 75% effective teachers comes up to 32%. The formula is written out below, and as it states, after money's been allotted for recruitment, retention, and principal awards, have been determined, the remaining money will be available for the recognition award, and that would be the amount allowed that would go into that formula.
Okay, so that's my page. So we have ideas floating and concepts on the table now. We are in agreement that paraprofessionals
Yes.
do qualify.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are in agreement that instructional personnel may be eligible for bonuses in multiple
Correct.
categories, okay? And the spot where we differ then is we're suggesting equal shares divided among all eligible, and you're applying the formula that's been established in contract for performance pay in instructional.
That's the basis of our formula, it's the one that's in instructional contract. The only part that's been added is based on the percentage of average paraprofessional salary to the average teacher salary, hourly salary. That's where the 43% came from, it's 42.7%. And whenever the amounts are available, amounts as far as money and number that fall into each category, what I would propose we would do is meet and go through it together on the screen, Excel sheet, well, this number here, so it's very clear as to this is the amount that everybody will be getting.
So can I ask for clarification then regarding the 18-19 summative evaluations that would be used? I believe it was our intent to honor new hires who came to the district with an effective or highly effective rating on their most recent summative. Is that the way that the district is looking at this, or are we looking at this?
Well, I'd have to find out. I haven't needed in the past human resources about that one. If they, what we've done in the past with that or not, I can't speak to that one right this second. I can find out what their thought was on it. So I know they have been working on it diligently, but I do not have an answer to that one right now. I can check and get back to you real quickly.
Well, just knowing that we have a number of new hires in the district who likely come from surrounding counties. Everybody in the surrounding county is on an effective or highly effective system of some sort. We wanted to ensure as many people were recognized as possible.
Finding out right now what their thinking was on that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the formula that's been proposed?
Hey, one,
Yes.
as somebody not qualifying for any of these, by the way, I think your paraprofessionals should get the exact same amount that the teachers get in the bonus, because they were there the same amount of time in these classrooms, and in many cases, they work just as hard, if not harder in some cases. And to show you how much appreciated you are of them, I don't see why they shouldn't get the same amount. And I don't think most teachers would have any problem with that either. That's my opinion as somebody who's not getting one, so.
Okay, I can't speak as to what most teachers would say, but I do know that many of our teachers do come in quite a bit before school starts. I know that.
I'm not arguing hours.
So, no, I'm just saying, I know that because some of them have gotten injured before school started, and I deal with workers' comp. So I know full well that happens, okay? And I also do know that many of them stay late. Many of them have duties that require them to stay late, you know, going houses, parents' night, those types of things that they stay late for. I know most of our teachers were probably at their schools yesterday. So the contracts are not exactly the same whenever it comes to that as well. So I said, I can't speak as teachers how many would feel that, but I can tell you that, you know, their work days and work hours are not always the same.
I understand that, but also we're required to work a certain set amount of time by true time, and we can't work extra time.
I understand.
So that's not a very fair comparison. To say that we don't work extra when we're not allowed.
Oh, I didn't say you didn't work extra, I just said that.
You know, and then a lot of them work very hard, and many of them work through lunch hours and do whatever they can for kids. I'll leave it to somebody, the teachers decide what they want to do, perhaps. Maybe we'll have a consensus on that at some point. But I think paras are just as important in class. Coming from a parent side.
I just want to say that there's probably nobody who appreciates support staff like I have, you know, both at the school level, seeing what they did day in, day out. They're the backbone of the school. They keep everything running so that a teacher does have to just worry about the kids in their class. They're the ones who just make sure that everything runs smoothly and everything happens. In our current role, what they do to support my kids is indescribable. Just the sheer running after, places, at any of our schools, but also places like Crest. And so there's probably nobody who appreciates them. Well, I absolutely appreciate them. But I would say that when it comes to teachers, it rests on their shoulders
Certainly.
to have the lesson plans, to have quality work, to have purposeful instruction, to be able to provide that para with what they're going to do with those students, and to have a well-organized plan in place for a student day. And then they're responsible for the assessment of how that's working, of how kids are performing on those tasks, what has to be done, what has to be retaught, and they just carry so much pressure. And they have to take home hours and hours and hours of work. I know I did as a teacher, I always figured I wasn't organized enough back in those days. But I know that I watched teachers carry and lug out hours of work at home, and then hours of work back in. They're sitting in front of football games on the weekends, and that's what they're doing, is creating stuff for their classroom. And we don't have our parents doing that. And so I think that if you're going to send a measure of appreciation, I think our parents absolutely deserve to get some money. If that's what the state has legislated, that's what we need to do. Absolutely, they need to be included in it because they're a vital part. But to say that they should have the exact same amount as that Algebra 1 teacher, or that 4th grade PLA teacher, or that biology teacher who all the grades are writing on, and all of this progress is writing on, I can't agree with that. And so again, I don't want this to sound like I don't care about support, because I desperately do. And goodness knows, in my position, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot, because my department can't run without good support staff. But I am thankful that they're going to be included. But to say that they should get the exact same dollar amount as a teacher, I would have a problem with that.
I'm not trying to pick either side, was my opinion. That's what we were asking
And
here.
I respect your, but I just have to throw that out there.
So beyond talking about, how do we determine what is appropriate for teachers versus paras, we're trying to apply a formula that was designed specifically because statute required it to be designed for instructional salary improvements based on and tied to performance ratings. The only criteria we have in the recognition bonus dollars, which is not a permanent salary adjustment, it's a one-time infusion of money that nobody in this room, nobody in this district is going to be able to count on a year from now. The only thing that's required is that you be a member you be an instructional personnel by definition, and that you have received an effective or highly effective rating to qualify. It does not require the way that the recognition is set up in statute does not require us to automatically defer to differentiating the amount of pay based on an evaluation result. There's a qualifier. If you're effective or highly effective, you're part of the pool. But we have to determine whether or not we believe that continuing to separate somebody who is effective at one level of pay for a bonus is appropriate for somebody next door, when we have such variability in the job expectations of all these people. And there's so many different ways that an evaluation can be skewed either by student data or by circumstance. So I want to, when we talk about this formula, when we discuss it, I think something that we want to make sure we discuss is it necessary in this instance to apply a formula that separates the effective from the highly effective? If this is just purely recognition. We've had people who have been doing their job and been consistent, they've been evaluated. They received feedback through their evaluation processes. They've had input from their administrators in those processes. Is it enough to just say then that if you're effective, highly effective, you qualify, and you all get the same amount?
So in that regard, those that were rated highly effective, be it parapros or be it classroom teachers, or even if they're not classroom teachers, any group teachers, bargaining unit, those that are rated highly effective because they go above and beyond or whatever that standard was, get the same amount as those that did not do that or were not rated as such for, not for them, maybe they came in, they clocked in, they did the work, but they were there. So if we do have a rating system that says, and I imagine that most of our paraprofessionals are probably going to be highly effective, I do not know. There's another way to pull it out of the sky, we have to do it by hand. But those that were highly effective, should they not be receiving more than those that were just rated as effective?
I think statute compels us to do that for instructional salary improvements. I don't think there's anything in law that compels us to do that with these bonus dollars, which are gonna be small and fleeting. But, I mean, that's food for thought. Anybody else have any questions about the formula? The numbers, percent, where they came from, nothing?
Yeah, you said 43% was up teacher salaries, can you tell
For
me?
the average, took the average parapro hourly salary divided by the average teacher hourly salary.
So by that rationale, because they make less, they inherently
No, I
deserve
just
a
can't, I
fraction.
just strictly mathematical proportional.
Okay.
That's-
Can you tell me why you did that? Why you decide, what made you guys decide on that? I'm just curious.
Strictly trying to come up with a logical, rational, it's a proportional way of doing it. That's the one that we
How
came
is
up
that
with,
proportional?
because it's proportional to the amount that they make.
To what?
The
That's
first-
just
the
a
proportion-
ratio.
Yes, to the, in the
I don't
amount
see
that
the
they,
proportion.
the bonus will be proportional to their hourly rate, percentage-wise. If you look at the 43%, the average salary, the average hourly rate for the paraprofessionals, 43% of the average rate for our instructional personnel. Okay, so that 43% is what we use, that percentage is how we came up with that.
So you use the ratio.
Yeah, but then that, whenever you write proportions, that's what it comes out to. So if you look at the amount of money that will be spent, more of it will be spent on instruction because we have more instructional, more classroom teachers, more teachers than we do paraprofessionals. And this, so everyone understands, this does not include all of our support. As Greg pointed out, it doesn't include him, and you're not included in it. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's not. It's strictly our paraprofessionals. As written in the statute, they are included in instructional personnel. So those are the average salaries, average hourly rates, excuse me, that we use. Just our aides, our classroom aides, or anyone who has that job code, CCEA, classroom aide.
What about our pre-K classrooms?
They aren't eligible for that. So sorry.
Because this is coming from K-12 funding.
Correct.
Does that apply to the pre-K teachers who actually
If
teach?
they
Maybe
teach at
kindergarten,
kindergarten,
first
if
grade
they teach
intervention.
kindergarten or for, yeah, they'll be the same as it was before. Because they're teaching K-12. They're teaching K-12 students. I think we only have a few pre-K teachers that are only teaching pre-K, but those, I know we had at least one that said, no, I just want to do this, but it was offered to them. I can't remember the name, but.
Same apply to the support
If they
pre-K aid that
If they were-
actually aids in another
If they,
classroom
if
as
that, if
well.
that were part of what they were doing, then I would say yes. I'd
Just
have
wanna
to
make
check
sure.
with HR on that because I'm not sure, because again, we've never pulled it out as, those paraprofessionals before. But if they're allotted to those students for that time, then I would think it would be better to have to check with them, to make certain.
Do you think we have situations like that where pre-K aid would be used
Yes.
outside?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to find out about that one. That's a good question.
Can you, tell me what the average hourly parapros are, paraprofessionals, as well as average hourly teachers?
Kayla.
That way I have those numbers.
It's on my jump track that Kayla has. She'll pull it up. Yeah, can you put it up there for everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
The CCEA.
No, it says salaries, it's a folder, it says salaries.
Yeah,
And then
Yep.
32% would have been like 75%, is that what you're looking at?
75 times. point-
Right,
yeah,
right, okay.
0.43, so it's 32% of the whole.
Right.
The total.
Mhm.
There should be two of them on there, one that
I am.
says aides and one
Yeah.
says instructional.
yeah.
You scroll down to the very bottom, it has the average. There you go. Scroll over. Oh, way too low.
Once I put it on the screen, I went 20 times bigger.
Let me see.
Bring it down. See position per hour, per diem.
Let's see if I can put it up on here.
So the 43% is calculated based on
The
percentage
average.
of the average
Parapro?
parapro against the average teacher.
Yes, ma'am.
And the 32% for effective is based
Yeah,
on.
75%. The effective teacher was 75% of the whole.
Oh, there it
So
is.
75%
There it
Times-
is.
times 40.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
Got it.
Sorry, I was in the
No,
middle of
no,
it.
no, sorry, that's, if you make it a little bit bigger.
I'm getting there.
So it's 1334. And it's the same for the other one. It's just gonna be a lot more lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind emailing that to us, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I can email it to Vicky and Vicky can forward it to.
Yeah, my name's on.
Yes, yes. Yeah, no, I will.
Like I said, on these, it's best, you have to look at the hourly rate, because if you look at the salary amount, we have parapros who work different hours, we have teachers that they don't all work full-time, so if you look at the hourly rate of 31.43.
Pick it up for just a moment, please.
Yeah. That's why I went with hourly, because the others could be skewed based on if they did not work a full day versus not.
Let me know when you're good, Vicky.
Yeah. So which one did you say you went by, the hourly?
The average per hour,
Average per hour.
31.23.
Or,
Okay, shoot, a few minutes to discuss and
No
maybe
problem.
we can get this done today.
All right.
Do you have a
No.